Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Wilton, and I am going to be your host today on the webinar. Hope you all are doing well. We're going to talk about stock screening today. Okay, it looks like we have a couple people on today. Again, it's Wilton Reisenhover. I'm the creator of Fintel, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to use basically the Fintel Workbench, which is our new version of our stock screener available to you. This is something that's been in development for a while. If you guys have questions, and actually, even if you don't have questions, if you could jump on the chat and let me know that you're here and that you can hear me okay, that will make me feel good about having no technical issues so far. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen and getting set up to do some stock screening here. Okay. I still don't see any. There's a chat. Okay, great. So let me go start sharing my screen here. Okay. You should be able to see my dashboard on the screen right now. If you can see that, please confirm in the little chat window. Yes, great. Okay. So what I've got pulled up right now is I've got my dashboard on Fintel. And I always try to make this kind of standard disclaimer. Don't take any existence or non-existence of a stock on my dashboard as a recommendation to buy or sell, because I follow a lot of companies for a lot of different reasons. You know, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but just because something's here doesn't mean you should go out and buy it, okay? Or just because something's not here doesn't mean it's not a good deal. I always say that whenever I show this dashboard. So whenever you log on to Fintel, this is the page that you're gonna see typically if you're registered. And in order to get to the stock screener, you need to come over here to screens and you need to click on the workbench, not the advanced screener. This is the advanced screener. This is kind of the old one. It still works, but we're going to be removing it and replacing it with the workbench, which is the screener 3.0. Has anybody, if you guys can pop into chat and tell me, has anybody used the stock screener, either the old one or the new one yet? And also, if you could tell me if you're familiar with other stock screeners or how familiar you are in general with stock screening, that would be really helpful. Okay, I'm seeing 2 nopes. Has anybody used a stock screener before? Maybe we could start with that. Okay, great. So it looks like a couple people have used a stock screener before. And what's bringing you to ours? If I could ask, what brought you to this webinar today? Is it something specifically interesting about ours that you heard about, or are you just curious, or the potential? Okay, good. All right. Insider info. Okay, great. So let me go ahead and get started here. Just as a background, just for the sake of completeness, and I apologize if this is a bit of a review. You know, the idea behind a stock screener is you're trying to build a query. You're trying to take a big list of companies that might, well, there's like 75,000 listed companies in the world, more or less. And you want to try to kind of filter them down to provide a smaller list that are perhaps more digestible. Let's say you have an idea that you don't want to invest in companies that are not on the OTC, or you don't want to invest in companies that have a high PE ratio or something like that. You have some kind of general requirements about what you can and cannot invest in. This is a good way, using a stock screener is a good way to kind of filter out all of this stuff, or screen out all of this stuff that doesn't work. The term screen is an old term. It's been around for many years, but the term filter is another way to look at it, okay? Or query, okay? The question is, can I get a copy of this seminar afterwards? This webinar will be on YouTube after it's finished. If you look right here, this is a new link I added. This button right here, if you click on it, it will take you to all the old webinars that I've done. And this one today will be up there, I would say within 24 hours or 48 hours or so, once we're finished with it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So with that in mind, most stock screeners that are out there are kind of point and click type screeners. And there's a lot of them out there, and they're very useful. They're really easy to use. Some of them have, more features. Some of them have more, terms and stuff like that than others. But ours is different. Ours is basically using a query language. And, we looked around at all the other sites that were out there, and there's certain things that you just can't do with a point and click stock screener. And we wanted to be able to address those kind of limitations by providing basically a language. We created a query language, a financial query language that you can use to kind of build complex queries. So that's the idea. So I'll tell you right now, this is not simple. This is not like, it's not easy. It's not easy if you're not familiar with query languages, but it's really powerful. So there's a bit of a learning curve, and I'll try to take it easy and show you kind of how to construct or how to build your queries based on what you want. So let's just start with, okay, you go to this page, again, you go to screens and you click on Workbench and you end up here. Now, this is a quick start guide, this little thing here, and you can hide it or unhide it. Just click here, it's a little accordion, okay? And, you can basically kind of go through here and see kind of in generally what's going on. What is the DB2? I don't know what this comment is here, DB2. I'm not sure what that is. If you want to see the webinars, click here and you get to YouTube. DB2 is a database. Yes, it is a query language. It is very similar to, I think what you're asking me about is SQL. It is very similar to SQL in a query language. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. In fact, there are some terms, some language constructs that we use that are similar to SQL, such as the order by and the limit in that regards. And we'll get to that in a bit. But let's get started here. At a very, very basic level, we always provide you with a sample query here whenever you start up. At a very basic level, let's just say you want to say, find all companies where the share price is greater than $1. And then you say, get results, okay? Every line, and you can see the results down here, okay? Every line consists of some type of comparison expression. This is called an expression, where I'm going to have something on the left of a comparator and something on the right, okay? So this is a term on the left. This is the comparison operator, and this is a term on the right, and it ends with a semicolon. This semicolon is how you can separate expressions. I could say this, okay? You can actually span multiple lines with a single expression as long as you have a semicolon here. So this is basically, kind of just trying to get to know how to use the editor. This will present you with 0 results because there's never going to be a company where the price is less than 1 and the price is greater than 3. Okay, so there's your first lesson here. How to use an and. Okay, the equivalent to this, if you didn't want to use an and, is you would say something like this. So basically, what I'm trying to prove here is that every expression must be is connected with an and. In order for a company to successfully pass through your filter, every expression must be true. So, for example, price is less than 1. So basically, we start off with ticker A. Okay, is the price less than 1? No, so it gets filtered. Okay, we go into ticker B. Is the price less than 1? It gets filtered. So that's kind of how this works. It basically applies all of these rules to every company that it finds, and then it only passes through the ones that where every line is true. Okay, I hope I'm not trying to overdo this here, but I want to make sure this is clear because there's a lot of people that get kind of caught up around this. So let's keep going. I'm going to create a list of expressions where everything must be true in order for me to be happy with the results. So let's say the price is greater than 1. I don't want a penny stock. I want country equals US. I do not want, this is the most commonly asked question. I do not want OTC stocks, okay? So here's your kind of your basic starting point here. This is a do not equals, okay? And you don't have to put quotes around this, around the US, around the country and the exchange. In the old screener, this version 2.01, the advanced screener, you had to put, these are treated as strings. If I say this, this is going to provide me with all the all the stocks where the exchange is not OTC and the price is greater than 1. Okay. Pretty simple so far, right? Anybody have a question about this? Anybody getting hung up on this? Jump in here if you are, because I'm going to keep going and it's going to get faster and faster. I can also say market cap is greater than 100. I could say 100. I could say 100 million by doing this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or I can just say 100 M for million, or I can say 100,000. K is thousands, T is trillion. I'm just curious to see like what happens here. I haven't done this, but I'm guessing only Tesla will show up. Okay, there's a few of them here. Kind of curious about this, but there you go. Here's some $1 trillion market cap companies. Interesting. One of the things I should point out here, and this I'm not sure why some of these are here, is that you can actually do countries that are not the US. So if I say JP, I will get me Japanese companies, right? This Japanese stock exchange. Now the problem is that you know the currency exchanges are not the same. Okay, I will explain that does not equal again. So this is basically in yen. Okay, when you pick a country, the reported numbers are going to be in the local currency. So if I wanted to screen on companies where I wanted to say Canada, US, Great Britain, and Australia, okay, I can do this. So here we're starting to see more SQL related or SQL similar this is a very much of a SQL type query. Oh, I should have put UK. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. This is still not wrong. Great Britain, and I should have said US is what I meant to say here. So I'm getting Canada, United States, Great Britain, and Australia, where the price is greater than 1 and the market cap is greater than 100 million in the local currency. So this would be for Australian companies greater than 100 million Australian, for British companies greater than 100 million pounds sterling. And the question was, could I explain the not equals again? Yeah, so like I said, you have to do everything has to have a comparison operator in here. So what are the various comparison operators? You could say greater than 1, you can say less than 1, you can say equals 1, or you could say does not equal 1. So this is a does not equal, okay? So in this case, I want to say, I want to find all the companies in Canada, the US, Great Britain, and Australia, but I don't want companies traded on the OTC stock exchange in the United States, okay? And I want a market cap of greater than 100 million, okay? So what is this giving me here? So it should be giving me, here's the top, London Stock Exchange, Toronto Stock Exchange, London, here's the Australian Stock Exchange, and so forth. It looks like it's working. Here's Amex, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange American. So it seems like it's working here reasonably well. And all these tickets, all these prices are greater than $1. Let's say if I wanted to go to 100, again, this is in local currency. This will give me all the companies where the price is greater than 100 in local currency. Okay, did I explain the does not equal properly to the guy that asked the question, Michael? And furthermore, are there any other questions about what we've done so far? What we've done so far is we've looked at some basic examples here. We did price, we did market cap. We haven't done a formula yet. We're going to do a formula right now. We've done countries. This is actually not relevant anymore. We actually have every major country now, not just US, Canada, Great Britain. Oh, okay. Let me zoom this up a little bit. Let's take this a little bit bigger. That's a exclamation point right there. All right. So exchange exclamation point equals OTC. That is in computer language. This is more or less a not. Okay. And you'll find this consistently in Java and in JavaScript and in SQL, you put an exclamation point in front of it, equals, it makes not equals. That's what that means. Or we also call it a bang. Okay. So that's what that means. So let's keep going here. So far, nothing that I've done is something that cannot also be done on a point and click screener. Okay. There's nothing here that is pretty extraordinary that you couldn't do on a point and click screener. So the question then is why would you use Fintel? So here we're gonna get there. So I'm a kind of an accounting numbers junkie, and there's a guy named Benjamin Graham who is famous for value investing, and he was the professor for a guy named Warren Buffett, who you may or may not have heard of. And he had this formula called the Graham formula that he used, that he discussed. And the idea was, and I think Warren Buffett also did this, the idea was, when Warren Buffett was investing in value stocks at a very early age, he would say, let's take all of the current assets of the company. Okay, that would be the cash, the receivables. Let's subtract all the liabilities from the company. Okay, I'm hitting Control and space to get that autocomplete here. So in the editor, this should be listed somewhere, but maybe it's not. The Control key and the space key, I just type an L and I hit Control and space, and it automatically adds all of these. Okay, so Warren Buffett would say, let's take all the current assets of the company and let's subtract all the liabilities, and let's see if the number is less than the current market cap. Okay, let's get rid of, okay. And what he would do here is basically he would use this formula to find companies that you could just buy outright, pay the market cap, buy all the shares, and then you could liquidate the company, take all the assets, sell it, pay off all the liabilities, and you still have money left over. So that was his, this was his basically the net current asset value strategy. And this is what kind of got me started on this, which is because you can't really do formulas with point and click screeners. And you can with this, and this is kind of how we get started on this. This is kind of one of the core things that I think is valuable here. He would also say, let's take a margin of error. So 0.66, he would say, take a third of the market cap or 2/3 of the market cap to get a margin in case you kind of did something wrong, or in case some of the assets weren't good. So then this is the answer, right? So here's companies that match this screen, and this is kind of shows the power. Okay, any questions about this so far? Okay, actually we want to do greater than market cap. I'm sorry, I did this wrong. We don't care if the assets current minus liabilities is less than market cap. We want to see if the assets current minus liability is greater than the market cap. This is probably a more accurate. Okay, and there's probably very few results. I was a little surprised that there was that many results before, because the reality is that many people have heard of this before, and people are looking for these kinds of results, and it's an overheated market right now, so you're not going to find a lot of good values. But here's the list worldwide, or at least in these countries. These are your list of your kind of cigar, but what they call cigar butt companies. Okay, questions so far about this? What is the asterisk? That's the times, that's multiplication. So again, this is a computer issue. Okay, this is a computer terminology. Instead of doing an X, you can't do an X because X is a letter. The asterisk is the multiplier. The other thing I want to point out here is that these terms here are all one word. Okay, I sometimes see people doing things like this, where they put in assets space current, and you can't do that. Okay, the system is not going to be able to recognize that this is a valid. If I hit get results here, it's going to give me some really bad stuff. So these things, these terms have to be, they don't have to be the correct capitalization. Like I could say all lowercase here like this, okay? But you can't have spaces in there or it's not gonna work. And let me just show you here. Let me hit cancel. If you're curious to know like what is the full list of all of these terms that you can use, and you should be interested in this, you go to this screener terms page. I'm going to right click on this. I'm open this in a new tab, and it's going to show up over here. This is the list of all of the terms. It's basically our data dictionary. And you're going to have to go through here. Oh, wow, look at this. Okay. You're going to go through here and find all of these terms. We've got accounting terms. We have a deal with and since we're here and since we're looking at this, I'll tell you right now, we get our data from a lot of different places, but the accounting data, and I mean like the balance sheet and the cash flow statement and the income statement data, we get from Capital IQ. Capital IQ is a great provider of this data. They're considered to be really high quality quant grade data. And so, I feel very confident that, this data is good and that's going to be accurate. And we have also licensed this data for the whole world. So if you're interested in investing in, I'm going to go over here, for example, I'm going to say, find me companies where in Japan, okay, let's get rid of this and let's see what happens here if we say get results. So here's all the companies here where you have this formula working out. You can see we've got current assets and liabilities for companies listed in Japan. So the question is, how do you get all those assets that are actually traded in the US exchanges with high volume above 1 million average trades per day? So you could say volume average 1 month is greater than 1 million, something like that. I don't know if that's the answer to your question, but if I said that, traded in the US, by default, it's going to be US, but you could say specifically this, okay? If you don't put anything in here, it's going to give you US only, okay? But I can say country equals US if I want to be more specific. And it's going to give me all the companies where the average volume for the last month is over 1 million. Okay. Is there a way to query the options data? So the answer is probably yes. So far, the only options data we have, I believe, is option put call ratio. We just added this one. We just licensed options data, and we've got the put call ratio. So as you may or may not know, the put call ratio, we do have expirations. I guess the question would be what, let me kind of step back for a second. This screener is not going to present you with specific options. There's no way to screen for options. The only thing this is going to produce results on is the underlyings, right? The equities. Okay. So I'm not sure, like, it might be good to have for you to tell me kind of specifically what you're looking to do, like what kind of options data you're trying to look for, or what kind of specific things are you trying to query on, because I'm not sure kind of exactly what you're asking me about. So ask me that question, maybe put a ticket in, or we can discuss that more at some point. But let me just keep going with what I can answer right now in terms of options. The options put call ratio, one less than 1 is going to be a bullish indicator. Greater than 1 is going to be a bearish indicator. I want to see the difference in the put call ratio over a period of time. Okay, well, you could do this. Here is the timestamps. So the relative timestamps that we have, you can append a timestamp to this and you can get kind of a different day. So I could say something like this: put call ratio, the current put. Let's show me where the put. Show me stocks with the current put call ratio. Is less than the option put call ratio from 1 week ago. Now, something like this might work. Option put call ratio. I don't know why this is not working. I'll have to look into this a little bit more. This should work, but I'm not sure why it's not working. Okay, so you tried this and it didn't work. Okay, well, I'll take a look at this. We'll see what's going on. I can tell you that we haven't licensed a lot of history for this. If that's an issue, we can go back and we can pull in a full year, but we've only just started getting this data in, so we don't have like from a year ago. And that might be the issue right there, is that we don't have the data from a year ago. So let's just keep going here. There's a lot of questions here. So let me go back to the chat and see what we see in the chat. We want to exclude those companies whose asset minus liability is less than 25% of the market share. Yeah, so we can do this. So asset minus liability is greater than 0.25 times market cap. We want to exclude, right? So there we go. So we're trying to exclude companies where the assets minus the liability is less than 0.25 times the market cap. So in order to exclude them, we're going to put a rule here that only passes through the greater than, okay? So this will exclude all companies where the assets minus the liability is less than 25% of the market cap. Syed, is that reasonable to you? Does this look right? Let me know, I'll keep going through here. If there's is there any way to know if the puts or calls are being sold or bought? So this kind of goes back to the change in the put call ratio, and I'll look into that a little bit more. It's a good question. I could probably put in some more data on like the raw number of puts and calls that like the open interest, for example. We have the data. Putting together open interest and puts, like the raw number of open interest, should be pretty straightforward. So then you can be able to do a little bit more math with that. If you had the raw open interest for puts and calls, and you can go back in time, like with this timestamp, then you should be able to construct a whole bunch of different things based on that. So I will look into that. Okay, let's keep going here. If we put less than instead of greater, you can put less than, but this is going to filter out all the companies where the assets minus liabilities is greater than 25% of the market cap. It's only going to allow them through if they're less than. Okay. Can you do exactly the same? Yeah, I mean, you can do all of that. Like I think, I don't know if we have gross margin in here. Gross margin, I'm not sure why you would do gross margin minus liabilities, but you could, right, something like that. Okay, is this helpful, Al? Okay, let's keep going. Let me go ahead and talk about some other things in here. So we've kind of gotten off track a little bit, but like we've got some examples here. We did the equation. We can do this for other countries as well. So if I'm interested like we can do it for not just the United States, but for the UK and others. Okay, and this is one of the things I find exciting because I actually invest overseas quite a bit. Most brokers these days will allow you to invest in major markets, like even E-Trade. You can invest in Hong Kong and the UK and Canada and stuff like that. And what I find is that some of these other countries besides the United States, you can actually find some really interesting, good value plays. And in Japan, especially as well, in Hong Kong, a lot of really interesting stocks in those countries that but there's very little ways to actually screen them and to discover those opportunities. So what else? I can put ands in, I can put parentheses, I can put Ks, Ms, and Bs. We did all this stuff already. I can put a comment in. If I don't want to delete a line, I can just put a comment in it and it will comment it out. Okay, so now we're in the United States because we know that United States is the default. Okay, we get a data dictionary for technical analysis. So, okay, good. So let's talk about technical analysis. Okay, this is something that I've been promising people to talk about for a very long time, and I've been very remiss at this. So I went back and I looked at the code, and I changed some stuff around here. So what you're going to find here is that there's technical analysis. Now, this stuff was all kind of stuffed into here, into the kind of the basic math functions, but I pulled it out now. So here are the technical analysis functions. And these are all basically come out of the TA for J library. If you're not a Java developer, then you don't want to go look at this, but it's basically, you know, if it's in here, we should have it on our website, or at least we should have it. So the question is this: so how do you use it? So let's just start with looking at a simple EMA example here, or RSI example. All the functions have parentheses on them. So RSI basically ranks a company from a scale of 0 to 100. If I want to find all the companies where the RSI is greater than 80, this is basically called relative strength index. I can get the results, and it will spit out all the companies where the RSI is greater than 80. Okay. There's your start to this. You can also look at EMA, exponential moving average. Some of these functions take parameters. Now, what we've done here is we've tried to stay consistent with our timestamp kind of syntax, right? I can say, I can just say, give me the basic EMA, which is the default EMA. Or I can say, give me the EMA that's 20 days worth of EMA. Okay. Or I can say, if I want to do a crossover, a lot of times people like to do these crossovers where they say, find me a situation where the 50-day EMA crosses over the 20-day EMA. Then you have something like this. Okay. But the other stuff that we have in here is we have a MACD. I don't know the names of all of these. I don't know what all these are, but again, I'm going to point you back over here to the Java doc 0.14, and you can look at these indicators here. And this is kind of it. Now, if you guys want, if this is just too difficult to kind of pick out these terms, and I would say probably it is, I can probably figure out a way to be more explicit about what these mean, rather than trying to keep them into just a couple letters here. So I will look into that. You guys can let me know what you think about that. But so here's here they are. Here's all the CCI indicator, commodity channel index is probably the CCI. Okay. So anyway, keep that in mind. All right. It'll get you started. I'll put this link here in the chat for you guys. And if you guys have any questions for further clarification, you can put it in the YouTube channel whenever I put it up there, or you can put a question to us down here in the question mark down in the lower right-hand corner. Okay. And this is new, right? This is pretty new stuff. And I'm going to kind of go out and mention this caveat. I always mention this stuff. Always check your work, right? Like if something doesn't make sense, then don't assume that because it shows up here that it's correct, right? There's all kinds of strange things that can happen with upstream feeds. We try to buy the best data we can, but we still find errors here and there. So this should be a starting point for your research, but it should not be the ending point for your research. You get your list of companies, you take a look at them, and you validate all the assumptions and all the data. That this is just good due diligence. And I recommend this for any stock screener, not just ours. Okay, don't just assume that because a stock screener produces you results, the data behind it is all correct, because I see a lot of crazy stuff sometimes. Okay, with that caveat in mind, what else can we talk about? Let's talk about some other things that are interesting. I can say, let's let's say we have this idea that we want to, I'm going to hit reload on this page. Something's going on with my, what's happening here? I'm not able to do any mousing on this page for some reason. How can we rank our results? I was just trying to get to that, but my current, here, I'm going to reload this page. So I am, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second because my browser has gone belly up here. Okay, now I can start sharing my screen again. All right, so then the question is this. Let's start with we have a lot of functions here where we have a lot of, I should say, a lot of terms that are where we call them rankable. Okay, so for example, the PE ratio, let's just say PE, you guys are all familiar with price earnings ratio, perhaps, maybe you're not, but this is basically one metric that is used to describe or to represent a relative valuation. So you take the price divided by the most recent share price of a company, and you divide it by the earnings per share, and you get the PE ratio. Another way to look at this is earnings yield. Let's just do your earnings yield because let's see what we have here. We don't have earnings yield. Okay, I'm going to add earnings yield because earnings yield is so much easier to use than PE ratio. Earnings yield is going to be representative as like an interest rate type thing, but PE ratio is the inverse of that. So we want to, the higher the PE ratio, the more overvalued it is. The lower the PE ratio, the more undervalued it is. So if I say I want to find all the companies where the PE ratio is less than 50, and I click my results, here's the list. Okay. Now we also want to make sure that the PE ratio is greater than 0 or greater than 1, because we don't want companies that are losing money, right? So if you divide price by negative earnings, you're going to get a negative number. So now we have a number of results here. I can rank these by PE ascending. Okay, let's see if I can do this correct here. Order by, if I just say order by PE, now it's going to take a little bit longer. Notice whenever I click get results, it spits out all the results right away. But if I'm going to order something, then it can't give me the results right away. So I'm going to say get results, and it's going to go through. It's going to go process them all. It's accumulating all of the results on the server, and it has to do this because it's then going to order them for us and then send them to us. There's another way to do this, I think that maybe you're asking about, that will be simply just putting a UI on the results that allows you to order on the column. And I think we've done that. I'm not sure if we have. When this is finished, we'll take a look at it. But if you're going to store a strategy, and I recommend that you do, what happens is that you can take this formula and you can save it. You can save your screen here, and then what will happen is that we'll actually run that screen for you every day, sometimes even twice a day. And the problem is that if you have a strategy where you're trying to get, like, the 15 best, okay, or the 20 best or the 50 best, but the screening itself only generates it results in 1,000. This order by combined with the limit is really helpful, because what you're really trying to do is you're trying to pick off, the best of something, the best ranking of something or other. So you do, but the results go, okay, I'll take a look at the ticket. It's good that you're putting these tickets. I didn't see it, so I'll have to take a look at it again. But this is how you do that, right? Order by PE. Let's just see what this says here. Okay, so it should be presenting you, if you look at this now, the results here. PE is greater than 1, order by PE. So here we go. The first one is 1. The second one is 1.03. The third one is 1.10. So you can see here that it appears to have worked properly. We got all the results ordered in a PE in increasing order, okay? All the way probably to Lord knows what, all the way to 49.86. So that seems to be consistent with what we were looking for. Let's just make this a little bit easier here. And so let's get rid of order by PE, order by PE, and we'll say limit, limit 50, okay? And then this will basically give us, you know, the 50 with the best results here, okay? Does that make sense? Does this look reasonable? There should only be 50 results here. Okay, so you need to ask for ascending or descending. You shouldn't have to ask for ascending or descending, but if you want ascending, it's going to default to ascending. If you want descending, you have to put in descending, DESC, okay? Nah, that's not working. Oh, I see, I did this wrong. Order by PE up here, DSM, yeah, okay. So this should provide us with the results in a descending order. Yeah, so there we go. Okay. Now I'm not sure why it's giving me 2 PEs here. I'll have to take a look at that. There's been a lot of requests to add a sort button to the top of this header, and we will do that one of these days. But without having that, you can use this. Okay. And you noticed that when I did this search the second time or the third time, the second time, the results were a lot faster. And the reason is because it's doing some caching on the back end. The first time it has to run through a query, the data might be in the database, it might not be in memory. So you're going to see probably a little bit more of a lag whenever you're kind of mentioning terms for the first time. But once you've kind of gone through and you're kind of doing your queries and you've hit a term or two, then that data is going to get cached. And so it's going to be a lot faster the second and third times you do a query. Okay. Questions so far? We've covered a lot of ground. There's a couple other things you can do here. I can say, so one of the problems with hard numbers like this is that PE ratios change over time. Right now, we're in a period in the market where PE ratio, where valuations are elevated quite a bit, and there are going to be times in the economic cycle where valuations are depressed, and so having a hard number here, PE greater than 25, is going to mean that your stock screen, your strategy, is not going to find as many companies to find in overheated markets, and it might find too many in underheated markets. So one of the things that we've added here, and I think this works, rank percentile PE is going to be the bottom 25. Let's just see if this works. Okay. We were always working on new stuff, so I'm not always sure how these things. I know that the idea here is that we want to be able to pick off companies. So this is basically the absolute rank, 16 and 19. So this is basically saying the 16th and 19th. Let's just say rank PE is less than 1,000. So we're going to say find me the companies where the best 1,000 companies. Let's go ahead and put PE ratio in here. So, and also another thing that I want to mention, if you want to generate the results and put a term on the results, but you don't actually want to filter on it, you can just add it like this with no expression, and it will just add it to the results. So let's just see what this says here. Let's just see if this is looking interesting. So the PE ratio here is 309. Okay, and that rank is 531. So this is basically finding us. The question is, can you rank on any other field other than PE? The answer is yes. There's a whole bunch of you can rank on, and I cannot unfortunately provide you with that full list. But what you do is you would try it. So what this is doing, this is giving you an absolute rank. So Pioneer Bank Corp has a PE of 309, and it's 531 out of the total universe. So what this is doing is it's finding you the highest ranking numbers, which is going to be from high to low. So if I want to find the lowest ranking numbers, I would want to say, God, I don't know. The percentile rank is really what we want here, but let's just for example, say this. If you want the lowest ranking numbers, you have to know the universe. I don't know how many companies we have in here, 32,000, okay? So let's find the lowest here. I want to find all the companies that rank below 30,000 in our universe of 32,000 companies, okay? And this should find me the lowest 2,000 or so companies that have the companies that have the lowest 2,000 companies that have the lowest PE ratio. Sorry, that was kind of a wordy way of saying that. So nothing. Okay. So I'm going to look into why the rank percentile doesn't work, but it should. The idea here being you should be able to do something like this. Okay, and make that all easier, but this isn't going to work, I don't think. Questions so far? You can rank on all kinds of stuff. Let's go take a look at the stock screening terms. Any kind of, like, basically the idea is that if I can find a ratio or some type of formula in here that is a ratio, then I'm going to try to make it rankable. Okay, so accounts payable, that's not really rankable because you can't really compare. There's no really real reason to rank accounts payable from one company to the other because it's not really in a form that's comparable, right? But accounts payable growth, maybe, okay. But certainly PE ratio, call put ratio. I'll tell you how to tell what you want to know. Here's how you can tell if something's rankable. If I go to fintel.io and I type in ranking, okay, we have a page here where you can see all of the ranks of all of the terms, okay. These are all, and you can actually click on it and see like a list of all of the, like what the actual put call ratios of these are and the number one, okay. If there's a company, if there's a term in here on this page, then it's going to be rankable in the stock screener. There's your test right there, okay. So if I come in here and I say, find me companies where, I can come back over here and I should be able to say rank is in the top. Okay. And then if I say ORIC, just as a quick test here. So if I hit cancel here and I go to back to my rankings and I look at ROIC, this North European Oil Royalty Trust is number 7. And we can see that it showed up here with a rank of 7. Okay, so there you go. There's kind of how you can do it. All right, I'm glad that number worked out correctly here. This is how you can find companies with the best rank. Top 100 companies. All right, questions so far? Any more questions about this? You can rank on put call ratio. That is option put call ratio right here. All right, let's just see what we have here. Okay, so it's 10 minutes to the hour. We've covered a lot of ground. I think we've actually done some pretty advanced topics here. Are there any other final questions? Anybody have any final questions before I close it up? We've done the technical analysis. I hope that's helpful. We've done some kind of basic math functions. We talked about a little bit about the timestamping, but I'm going to give you a quick example on the timestamping here. If I want to say compare the price today with the price from a year ago, it's just this, okay? But this kind of thing allows us to do some interesting things where I can say, find me companies where the current price, if I want to find companies where the price has gone up by 25% in the last year, well, that's just easy. I can say price minus price from a year ago. The question here is, are you going to sell your screener or is it always going to be for free? The screener is not for free, actually. This is a paid product. But to get back to what I was talking about here, price year ago, this is the general formula for determining the change in something over the course of a year. This will show me all the companies where the price has gone up in a year. So you can use this, if you're looking for growth factors and things like that, you can, if we don't have it already, you can kind of construct your own pretty simply by just using this formula. I'll send you to the plans page. Somebody's asking about the costs. And so the plans page is right there. Okay. So any other questions about this? I think we've covered all of the basic ideas in the quick start. We've talked about where the webinars are going to be stored on YouTube. We did some advanced topics here. We talked about technical analysis, we talked about ranking. And I also want to mention, if you guys have a question, you can always go down to this question mark here, click on that and submit a ticket. Okay. So I want to thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun, a lot of good questions, a lot of things for me to think about as well, and to go back and do some research on. I'm definitely going to figure out why the rank percentile is not working. And if you guys have any questions about that, let me know, or any other suggestions about what to add, then put it in the put it in the tickets, and I'll go ahead and add that. We can talk about it again in a month. And then with that in mind, I'm here. I'll be doing this again in 1 month exactly at the same time, same place. So you should get an email. If you're already registered for the stock screener, you'll get an email when it's ready to happen. And hopefully I'll see you then. Thanks again, everybody, and take care.